Afternoon, early evening, everyone. My name is Miguel Sanchez. I'm calling the special committee Ways and Means to order. Hello, how are you? Anyway, you can sit anywhere. Roll call, please.
Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Vice Chairman Taylor. He's absent. Councilor Andujar.
Present.
Councilwoman Graves.
Present.
Councilwoman Peterson is absent. We have 3 present and 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Awesome. I know Councilwoman Peterson is running a few minutes late, so I think she will be joining us. I want to recognize city staff here, city solicitor's office, and clerks. Thank you all for your service.
So noted.
We will take a motion to waive the readings of items 1 through 6.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Anwar, second by Councilwoman Graves. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Alrighty, Crystal?
Excellent. All right, Chair. I think maybe we should swear everybody in and get started. Is that right with you?
Yes, perfect.
Please raise your right hands. Do you swear under penalty?
All set.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's going to testify.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Please state your name and titles for the record.
Sarah Severi, Finance Director.
Crystal Lundberg, Deputy Finance Director and Budget Officer.
Lawrence Mancini, Chief Financial Officer.
Alejandro Delgado, Director of Purchasing.
Crystal Lundberg, Manager of Fiscal Operations Parks. Tiffany Bell, Deputy Superintendent of Parks.
Sean Hawley, Director of Recreation.
Dave Monument, Deputy Director of Recreation.
Cheryl Burgess, Deputy Director for Purchasing.
Awesome.
Wonderful. All right, Chair, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to start with the purchasing department and then move to Parks and Rec. Would that be?
So we're doing purchasing and then parks and rec?
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'd like Dr. Torado to join me at the table. Deputy Director of Purchases here, lovely. Get started.
13 went on.
The revenue and expenditure details for this budget are on page 269 of your budget book.
You said 269?
269, yes.
Well, I think we're ready, Crystal.
Excellent.
Mr. Chair, do you want to enter this as an exhibit?
Yes, we're not ready. Just give us 2 seconds. Motion to enter exhibit 13 into the record.
So moved. 2 seconds.
Motion made by Councilwoman Graves, second by Councilwoman Anwar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you. We're ready now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair. The fiscal year proposed budget for the Department of Purchasing for fiscal year 2027 is $717,812. This represents a $31,333 decrease from the fiscal year 2026 adopted budget. The bulk of this decrease is in the benefits category, and that has to do with the change in how we've allocated the active medical costs across groups, and so we've tried to chew it up to be more indicative of the actual expenditures. There's no changes in staff or budgeted FTEs. Fiscal year 2026 salaries are budgeted at $398,999. We have a projected cost of living increase of $10,972. Step increases of $3,190 for proposed fiscal 2027 salaries of $413,161. Additionally, at no cost, the department is requesting to change the title and compensation of the unfunded title formerly known as the Purchasing Help Strategy Manager, which was compensated at a K-12. They would like to change the title to Procurement Strategist and the salary range from A12 to A16. This is done in concert with work that we've been doing with Bloomberg and Harvard to prepare for the eventual return to local control of the school district. We're acknowledging that procurement is going to be a very, very important piece of returning to local control, and we want to make sure that if and when that happens, this department is prepared to staff up appropriately. And the director's done a lot of work in looking in the job description and what would be needed. I'm sure he can elaborate a little bit more on this change. But I do want to, be transparent about that and know that it's done with an effort to make sure that if and when the schools come back to Providence, we have capacity to continue to procure their goods and services without experiencing delays in that process or any sort of operational hindrances as a result of the change.
Just to follow up on that, just so there's no funding tied to that position?
There's no funding tied to the position now because we've not resumed local control. We don't necessarily want to hire someone and then not have any work for them to do. But we do want to set the precedent in the ability to hire someone should the school district return to the city and funding become identified. Again, they've made tremendous strides in shortening their cycle times, and one of the things we've been really trying to figure out is the best way we can ensure that they're not having delays in procurement by bringing them back. Their purchasing is equal to ours, so we're talking double the volume that we're typically seeing at Board of Contract and Supply. Particularly in spring when they're looking at doing curriculum or really getting ready for the next fiscal year, there's a tremendous amount of capacity. I can remember when we were with the school district, Board of Contract required a separate table just for all of their bids. So it's going to be a lot of work that comes through us. We're still not sure of timing. We're still not sure what the final results will be. But we do only open these ordinances up once a year, and so we wanted to make sure that if this does happen mid-year, we have the ability to be nimble.
What if it's announced next month that the schools are coming back next year? What?
So I think we would have to sit down and have a really frank conversation about what that looks like. I do think that we would be recommending for finance to fund this position.
Awesome. Any questions from anyone? Of course, Councilwoman Underwood.
And just a quick clarification, for the org chart, I think you gave us the wrong org chart.
Yeah.
Public property, not purchasing.
So if you see public property is actually a division of purchasing, purchasing is a division of public properties.
Okay, then you didn't, okay, cool.
So it's not the inappropriate work chart. Yeah, usually they're on the same night, so it's
So it makes sense.
So it
Yeah,
makes
okay,
sense.
it's all the way to the right. Okay, I see it.
correct. Yeah, they were split in this budget cycle, and by the time I caught that, we had already had the calendar pretty locked in, and so I felt it would make sense to just continue with purchasing and then your public property on separate night.
So are we keeping that potential position off the org chart for now, but it would be underneath Director Torado?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Their department has a very modest service and supply budget. It's been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first discretionary cost is $29,000 in fees not classified. This is a reduction of $5,900 from the fiscal year 2026 budget. All of this reduction is attributable to the change in parking contract, so there's no changes or reductions in translation funding for fiscal year 2027. Dues and subscriptions have been level funded at $1,100. There's a modest increase to professional development, again, to help train up and bring capacity into staffing within this department. And under the supplies category, office supplies and copier links maintenance have been unchanged and are supported by historical spend. That wraps up the operating budget. Should there be questions or any comments Dr. Stroud would like to share with the group?
The floor is yours, Director.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As Deputy Director Wimber was mentioning, our budget is pretty simple. And our goal for next fiscal year is basically to support the goals of the administration and council. The main priority is bringing the schools back, and that is perhaps the most significant impact in the budget. That's why we are requesting one additional staff member that will be dedicated to support that particular function. We revised we updated the job description to reflect that particular goal, supporting the schools. In addition to this, there are things that we have been working together with the state of Rhode Island. We're trying to implement a new procurement system, and that also requires capacity and particularly a person dedicated to support the transition and with the school department. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. We've been working together with the procurement team of the school department, we set up already monthly meetings to understand the processes, to find opportunities in which we can remove inefficiencies or redundancies in the process, and to better understand how they procure, and also for them to better understand what is the process in the city when they come back.
Awesome. When did you start those meetings?
We started those meetings back in February. Yeah.
And also that we've been cooperatively working with school procurement since, gosh, when did we file our application last year? I want to say it's been almost a year at this point.
Right,
Yeah.
it was at the end of October,
Yeah.
beginning of November. So since then, we've been working with them more closely than before. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Before we continue, Madam Clerk, can you let the record reflect that Councilwoman Peterson has joined us?
So noted.
Thank you. Are you all set, Director? Any questions, committee members? You're good, Councilwoman Davis? Give Councilwoman Peterson a second. You're good?
No, I'm good. I'm okay. I have none of my questions for.
Kyle, you have anything? No.
Anything I have, this is
Notes real quick. Director, is there any ongoing efforts in your department to increase WMB and MBE contracts? Can you speak on that? If it relates to you at all?
Right, so this is something that we work in coordination with the Department of Economic Development, particularly our coordinator for the MBEs, WBEs. So on our end, what we do, our team, the purchasing agents, actually, they do the reach out. They look at who have the certification to the state, and then they reach out when there's an opportunity for them, depending on the type of contract. Currently, for instance, we're working on we're expecting to have our own contract for construction renovations, and there are different trades. And we think that that's a great opportunity to bring more vendors with that certification and support the goals of the ordinance. That's what we've been doing. On our end also, what we do is we track how much goes, like when it comes to POs, we're currently tracking which vendors have the certification and what percentage of those POs actually, of the value of the PO goes to those vendors. The same thing we do when it comes to the water temperature supply. We track who gets a contract and what percentage of the contract goes to vendors with the certification. In some cases, it's more common to see subs, but in some cases, and this is really sort of like inspiring to see prime contractors actually have the certification and they get a free contract. So that's what we do regarding that role.
Is there any very clear barriers that you've heard from vendors in the city when it comes to getting contracts with the city, and can you speak on those a little bit, if any?
Right. So
ones that we have control of, at least. Obviously there's contractors out there and companies that don't meet certain requirements, and it's very little that we can do about that. But
right,
what barriers are there on our end, if any?
Right. So we constantly work together with the chambers, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce or other business associations. And we meet with them, we set up trainings, we go and talk to their members so they can understand the process. We are aware that when it comes to procurement, just the word procurement is a little bit like, what is that? So it's a little bit sometimes difficult for someone who's not familiar with the process. So what we do is to sit down with them and explain the process, what are the requirements, so they understand that what are the things they need to have in order to do business with the city. Another thing we've been doing for the last 3 years actually is we translate our bids into Spanish, And we have received, actually, I was speaking on the phone the other day with one of the vendors, and she expressed her gratitude. So it's really good to see that, or to hear that what we are doing is actually perceived by the vendor community. So that's another thing when it comes to simplifying things or making the process more accessible for everyone in the city.
Awesome. I'm all set. Any other questions? Awesome, nice and quick. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Appreciate the work.
I can do now. Thank you.
Motion to enter Exhibit 14 into the record. So moved by Councilman Winnebach, second by Councilwoman Peterson. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it.
All right. If you don't mind, Chairman, everybody can please turn their pages, or their budget books to page 229. This is a multi-division department, so if you don't mind, I think I'll go through all of the divisions, and then you can ask questions, or would you like to stop one by one?
No, we can do that. If any questions,
Yeah, yeah.
come along, we'll ask in a moment. So
Yeah, that sounds
works
great.
for us.
Oh, yes, yes. Wonderful. So the superintendent reminded me that she did bring some handouts for you all that are very lovely and printed on wonderful paper.
I think
So you have 2 additional documents there.
We'll
And
combine these two as exhibit
You want to call it, it'll be legal, 14,
15.
15.
Yeah.
You want to include it all in the same?
Can we do that?
We can do that,
All right.
yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
Keep
we'll
all parts
group
separate.
it together.
All right. Very good. No, it's all of them. We just did them.
Okay.
Sorry.
So then what?
And since I ran off last time to go to the volunteer event that you were all invited to, I brought the swag, which is a free parking.
Okay.
Our logo hats, so those are there for you, a couple different color choices. They are not advocating for free parking in the city of Providence, it's free parking.
You got extra large one in there?
They're adjustable. They're adjustable.
We'll make it work then.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
So the first division again is on page 229. It is the Botanical Center / Greenhouse. This is a department that only has salaries and benefits, so there's not a lot of service and supply line items to look in. The total year fiscal 2027 budget is proposed at $732,269. This is a $32,154 decrease from the fiscal year 2026 budget of $764,423. Again, the bulk of this decrease is related to tuition of medical expenses for active employees. Fiscal year 2026 salaries in this department were budgeted at $359,549. We are expecting approximately $15,500 in cost of living increases and steps, to bring total proposed fiscal year 2027 salaries to $375,147. And that completes the budget for the botanical department. Next up is the forestry department. This department does have surface and supply line items, and their budget begins on page 232 in the budget book. The total proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 is $1,853,545. This represents a 2.31 decrease over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $1,897,307. Total salaries in this budget are $976,456. This is a change from the fiscal year 2026 budget of $940,509. All of these changes are attributable to cost of living increases in steps for eligible employees. The service and supply line items in 4C budget have been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first line item is dues and subscriptions. This is considered a discretionary cost, but it is a membership for our forester and any sort of applicable training he may need or they may need. Private contractors is considered a fixed cost. This is part of the Providence neighborhood planting program, block pruning, ash borer treatment, and tree installation is needed throughout the city. Under the supply line items, there is a discretionary budget for small tools and shop supplies. This is chainsaws, replacement chains, pole saws, safety equipment needed by the forestry department. Maintenance and service is considered a fixed cost, and this is the yearly maintenance agreement for the tree keeper.
What's that?
The tree keeper?
Yeah.
It's the program where all of that maps all of the trees.
It's like a software.
Tree database.
It's not like a person.
Not, yeah.
No, it's not human. No, we
I
don't.
was like, what are they doing for 2
It does sound like a fun job, though, yeah. Okay, the next department is the Museum of Natural History. This, I believe, is also a department that is just made up of salaries. Yes, it is. Their budget line items are on page 235. Again, it's mostly salaries, so not a tremendous amount to see here. Oh, no, there's service nice too. Total proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 is $613,492. This is a $53,067 decrease from the fiscal year 2026 budget of $666,559. Total salaries are budgeted at $368,769 in fiscal year 2026. Cost of living increases in fiscal year 2027 bring the proposed salaries in fiscal 27 to $370,218. The museum's budget has been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first discretionary line item is under dues and subscriptions. This is the fee for their annual newsletter. There is also one fixed cost, and I don't know how I forgot this one because it always stands out every single year. This is maintenance and service for the planetarium equipment. There is a specialist who needs to come out from Germany on an annual basis to maintain the planetarium in the museum.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The next department is neighborhood parks. Their line items can be found on page 238 of your budget book. Total proposed salaries in this budget are $8,570,203. This represents a $165,150 decrease from the fiscal year 2026 budget of $8,735,353. Total fiscal year 2025 salaries are budgeted at $3,767,922. When we factor in fiscal year 27 cost of living increases and eligible step increases, it brings proposed fiscal year 2027 salaries to $4,157,974. The services and supplies have been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first batch of fixed costs are private contractors. This is turf improvements, playground equipment, and fence repairs for the parks. We also have $165,000 budgeted for refuse processing. This is a $40,000 increase over last year's budget and is tied to additional trash pickup in our parks.
Just a quick question, Crystal. The private contractor's fixed cost, is that a contract we have with a vendor, or how does that?
We have different vendors that fall under that line item, so it'll be the vendors that we have a board of contract awards for playground equipment and things like that. So they're just larger specified costs. So we keep it separate for the playgrounds.
But for refuse, it is an RFP process.
What'd you say?
For refuse, it is, for trash, it is a contract.
Okay, so, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Graves?
The $40,000 increase,
Tipping fees.
oh,
Yeah, so this refuse processing is not just trash pickup, but it's also tipping fees for down resource recovery. And if you can see that the fiscal year 2025 actuals were 153,000. So we are certainly needing to budget this additional cost.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Do we, forgive me if I don't know, because I don't know all the parks, but I'm just thinking of mine. Do we have recycling and trash in all the parks, or is it just everybody's throwing, because that's what it is at Magnolia and the other ones in Ward 14, but I'm just wondering if it might be better for us to have recycling, or is it just something that would be onerous for somebody else to do?
It would be really onerous for us to do until the entire city moves over to that, because if you have any kind of contamination in the recyclables, you have to pay for that as well.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really hard to do in a public space, because as soon as you throw something in that, it's no longer viable for recycling.
Right.
And it's really hard to go through trash and do those things. We did a pilot project a few years ago where we had Brown University picking up some of the trash, and even that was picking up the recyclables for theirs, and there was almost no pickup that could be brought to this man.
Yeah.
And go right to the recyclable.
Okay, thank you.
This department has quite a few supply line items. Most of them are considered discretionary costs. Office supplies have been level funded at $4,400. There are modest increases to small tool shop supplies, plumbing and construction, maintenance supplies, which have been supported by increased cost and trend. Lubricants have been decreased by $4,000, which again are supported by historical costs and trends. We have level funded gravel, sand, and housekeeping supplies and tires. However, we've seen a modest increase in auto parts and electrical supplies, and a small decrease in lumber and hardware, and uniforms and wearing apparel, which is considered a fixed cost, it's contractually obligated. Maintenance and service is considered a fixed cost. These are their security systems, water treatment, fire suppression, heat control, and backflow testing, preventer testing. Repairs to other equipment is considered a discretionary cost and is level funded from the fiscal year 2026 budget. And there has been a small reduction to the repairs in buildings budget of $35,000. The next department is the North Burial Ground. Their budget can be found on page 242. Oh, my little tab didn't stick out. Oh, man. The North Burial Ground is a revenue generating department. This is generated from a portion of the sale of burial plots. The revenue is budgeted in total to be transferred at $600,000 annually. So we budget of that amount, $340,000 to come in as revenue through fees collected in the year. And then we budget a transfer from the Perpetual Care Fund equal to $260,000 to bring us to our total revenue of $600,000 annually. Should actual revenues exceed $340,000 in the fiscal year, we would proportionately reduce the transfer of that $260,000. So at no year are we receiving more than $600,000 in revenue related to the North Burial Ground. Total expenditures in this budget are proposed to be $834,183. This is a decrease of $56,112 from the fiscal year 2026 budget of $890,295. The total salaries in this budget are proposed at $468,248. This is an increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $427,196, and 100% of this increase is attributable to cost of living increases and step increases for eligible employees. The next department is the Superintendent of Parks Department. That begins on page 245. This is another revenue generating department. The revenue from this, for this department is generated as a reimbursement for the cost of the Parks Conservation Program Coordinator. and this reimbursement comes from the Partnership for Providence Parks. In fiscal year 2027, this payroll reimbursement is budgeted at $56,092. Total expenditures in this department are budgeted at $2,086,805. This is a $107,056 reduction from the fiscal year 2026 budget. Again, this reduction is primarily attributable to the reallocation of active medical expenses. And the total change in fiscal year 2027 is approximately a reduction of 4.88%. Total salaries in this budget in fiscal year 2026 were budgeted at $1,065,881. In fiscal 2027, we're proposing cost of living increases of $37,306, step increases of $1,599, for total proposed fiscal year 2027 salaries of $1,104,786. This budget has been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first large fixed cost is building insurance. It is well funded from fiscal year 2026 and is estimated to be $219,650. Additionally, there are no changes in any of the budget line items, but considered discretionary for this department are postage, program expense, and professional development. Additionally, under the supply line items, office supplies are considered discretionary, where copier and lace maintenance is considered fixed, as we're under contract with Rico for most of our copiers and printers. And that wraps up this department. And last but not least.
Two questions.
Yeah.
So why is or how is the program expense, the fitness in the park, and I know I'm trying to speak more about this. Why is that program expense under the superintendent's office?
It's where it generated from, so
Okay.
it's something that I brought in when I became superintendent, and so it's just, we don't, based on our other departments and our other divisions, it's the best fit for it. It's something that we do. We do a lot of community engagement out of the superintendent's office. We do the meals program out of the community, out of the superintendent's office. So it's also something that I like to have in hand.
Awesome. Just a minute. Sorry, Councilman Andrew.
Just a super quick question. Superintendent, what is the building insurance? I'm sure I've asked this in prior years, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
Which buildings are being insured?
All of them.
Oh, that's all of them?
Yeah, it is all of them, and that is it, except for rent protected phone insurance. It is been incredibly important that we have that. It's paid for itself 10 times over and then some. As you know, we lost the carriage house in the ground a few years ago. We've had some incidents at Skyline over the years, Isaac Hopkins house. So these have all been places where we were very glad that we had that insurance. And it's very, we have 13 historic buildings, so it's just really, really important that we are able to do that.
Any other questions on the superintendent's office?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, last but not least, we have the zoo. This is primarily, it is all actually salary and fringe, but we do have some changes in this budget. Their line item details can be found on page 248. Fiscal year 2027 proposed budget for the zoo is $4,075,167. This is a $276,320 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $3,798,847. Total salaries in fiscal year 2026 were budgeted at $1,851,691. In fiscal 2027, we are adjusting the salary line items for the following changes. We have cost of living increases for all zoo employees for $201,242. Step increases for eligible employees for $92,585. There is also a proposal to fund one additional zookeeper, an annual salary of $60,133, for total proposed fiscal year 2026 salaries of $2,205,650. And that wraps up my portion of the Parks Department.
Councilman Andrew.
Just a quick question about the additional zookeeper. Is one the right number, or do they need more than one? I know that they are adding a whole bunch of new exhibits and animals, and that was just a question. I know budgets are tight, so I can imagine one is all.
Those are coming over the years, so, you know, there's an opportunity to come back next year and ask for additional zookeepers to, as those additional, specific things open up.
Superintendent, before you begin, just to confirm, so that additional zookeeper is the only new position across Parks Department?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, I'll keep my comments to myself for that one. It just seems like we should be expanding, you know, obviously there is limitations that are presented to us, but I feel like we're not expanding. It's just my own beliefs, not of the committee's. Yeah, it just seems like we're not progressing. And this is obviously no knock to you, Superintendent. I know you guys do amazing work and make magic happen. But just as a city, yeah, the parks and rec are departments we should always be expanding, whether that's programs, personnel, spaces. These are the places that make Providence so special. And yeah, I mean, if we're not progressing or expanding, not to say you guys aren't, because like I said, you make magic with the resources that you are allocated. It seems like we're not prioritizing. That's just my own belief. Sorry to say that before you're about to speak. Just a quick thought.
Just not ready yet.
Director, I think the floor, or Superintendent, the floor is yours if you want to share a few words. I know you've passed out some really good literature for us.
Yeah, I think this is, we just had our directors meeting this morning where all of our division directors get together once a month and share ideas and cooperate and collaborate and do all those kinds of things. And I am just so incredibly proud to lead this department and all the work that is happening. I mean, we have folks who just work tirelessly and really carefully. And I think you'll see in the annual report, the work that has been accomplished in a single year is just really outstanding, from programs to playground design and expansion to all of those things that you just mentioned. So I think that we're just incredibly proud of the work that we're doing, and we're getting better and better at it all the time. I'm really excited about some of these small changes that are coming downtown that you'll be seeing over the next few months, and it's just an honor to lead this department.
What are your biggest challenges right now?
Getting it all done before World Cup.
Councilman Peterson,
Yeah.
and then Councilman Lindenbaugh.
We can go back and forth.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a bunch of scattered stuff, and I was trying to hone it all, and it didn't work, so. First, thank you. General Street looks excellent. I see people really taking advantage, and thank you for the extra benches. I went and I just happened to take a look the other day, and I got a thumbs up from a couple of kids playing basketball, so everybody's happy, I'm happy. I do have a quick question with regards, we received as a council, we received a report on overtime that was given to parks employees that were not union. And what I wanted to understand is if how many non-union employees are receiving or have received overtime, and are we trying to figure out how not to do that, or was there a justified reason for it? And also just trying to understand the role. I know that you guys work on so many different things extensively. We ask for work to be done in our parks on off time, so I can certainly understand, but I just want to be able to reconcile it. It is sometimes a question that does get asked, so I just wanted to have a little bit of an understanding. This is also the same question I'm going to ask of other departments that had the same issue, so.
I think the administration is best poised to answer that question. I think that where we are standing, that in the charter, there were positions that have morphed over time into other things, but the responsibilities are essentially the same. So if, for instance, an event coordinator, that's actually Brent Gowries, who runs the rink and does all of our events and manages all our event systems for it. We don't have an event coordinator anymore because all things have condensed and changed into that. But essentially the role that he does is that. And so when he needs to be at a concert for, 16 hours to make sure that the city's interests are maintained, that's really important. And to have non-union management on sometimes in those situations. So I think it's, but I think a lot of that is relative to the others are relative to snow. And my understanding is that there's been no increase in positions, just titles over time change and more, so the responsibilities are essentially the same.
Thank you. Do you have any recommendations of what we can do? Because one of the things that we obviously as stewards of the finances, we want to make sure that we're keeping up at the same time with the growth that we need to have. Do you have any recommendations on what we should be doing differently or how we should be changing the titles year to year? Maybe not year to year, but just trying to be able to sustain the growth that you're also having?
I think it's a good question. I honestly have not given that much thought, but I certainly will do that.
Thanks.
Councilwoman Inwell?
Oh, thanks. I more just had a comment, and that is to just shout out Wendy and her team because they do such an amazing job. And just like a few things, because I don't want to embarrass you, but like just the breadth of your work is stunning, especially with the quantity of staff you have. It's such a high caliber group of folks across 123 parks, and to put together this kind of work, just like flipping through, I've already seen this as a parks commissioner, but like just is like really stunning, and it's in every corner of the city, and like the breadth of like both, you figured out how to fix the fountain at Lippert Park when no one would do it, and then you also do history tours at the North Barrel Ground and all the things in the other awards that I spend less time thinking about. But just the importance of what you do for the city is also, it's just huge and incalculable. Like I've shared this example with folks in the past of like, but I don't think I've shared it with you, Wendy, of like people reaching out to me in these troubling times. I feel like I'm the one who keeps bringing up fascism in these meetings, but sorry, so Crystal, you know, bringing stuff. This past summer, I had a lot of folks reaching out to me, and the difference would be some folks would be like, hey, do you know what's going on with the parks at Billy Taylor, or the benches at Billy Taylor Park? And the next one would be like, what are you personally doing to fight fascism in our community? And a lot of times it was like, spend more time in the parks, like meet your neighbors, get to know your community. It was that. It was like, Wendy's fixing the benches, and that's how we build community, and that's how we continue on. So I just wanted to give you a real shout out, and you're always so quick to respond, not only to our questions, but to constituents. I know the volume you get from Ward 3 is quite high. I can only imagine the other wards, and just how quickly you and your team respond is stunning. And just this real can-do attitude. And like, I hate to keep calling out the same thing, but with like the Lippert Park fountain, I think is such a good example of like, nobody would bid on this. So you're like, guess you gotta figure out how to fix a fountain. And your team just figured out how to fix an ancient fountain and got it turned back on in time for Memorial Day last year. And everyone was so excited. And that kind of attitude of just like, well, no one will bid on it, guess I'm gonna do it myself, is amazing. So I just wanted to say that on the record, that you guys do amazing work with not enough resources, but like the most stellar staff, and just like the breadth and quality of what you do is amazing. So thank you. And cool team.
Thank you.
And if any of my committee members can guess which person on the Parks Committee was photoshopped in. Yes. One person on here was photoshopped. You can tell me who you think it was afterward. The prize is high five. Okay. Yeah, not a real prize.
I want dinner.
You want dinner.
Councilwoman Graves?
No.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Can we talk about forestry a little bit? Just want to understand if there's a backlog currently, and if there is, what are we doing to kind of mitigate that? I know that Sam and that team do an incredible job, and there's thousands and thousands of trees, but we always have the continuing conversations of like, when are they coming? I've submitted a 311. Can I know sort of an estimated timeline? So I want to be able to try and help mitigate that for some of my neighbors. He's certainly responsive to our constituent services team, which is fantastic, but sometimes expediting certain situations that might not necessarily be on that roster of quick things to fix has become a little bit of a concern. So I just wanted to understand if there is a backlog, what's kind of our next steps and things like that. And one other ask is actually because I feel really strongly that DPW and the forester have to work together hand in hand for so many things. I would love to make the ask of having the forester be here when DPW comes and presents. I think it helps us be able to answer some things. At least I know that I have a breadth of questions that are related to those both at the same time, if that's a possibility.
I agree.
But understanding backlog, that's my main.
Well, I am happy to say that it is the least it's been in many, many years. I don't know the exact account of it, but they've done a really, really good job addressing many of those things. We did a lot of that through some really creative work with contractors to get those done. When we did the block pruning, we did some really strategic moves there so that we could at the same time take care of the backlog. I don't know the exact number on hand, but it is the lowest that it has been in my tenure here, which has been 11 years this April.
That's great. And then my last question is, I know that you have I know the forester has a location where we have, is it still available where people can come and pick up mulch and do?
Oh, yes.
I like to promote this as possible, and I certainly want to say you're gonna.
So we do have pictures of it in the books here too, but it's called the Wood Depot and the Wood Lot, and it is open on Saturdays from 8 to 4, and anybody can come and get mulch from City Providence, mulch, firewood, other kinds of things there, and hopefully soon he'll start doing artisan classes, which will be, how he's going to make be able to keep the place going, so to speak, selling some of the log edge pieces. So really incredible. One of the coolest things that's happened there is the fire department actually trains there. So on the days it's not open, the fire department goes in and they do trainings, they put out brush fires, they chop wood, they chop, through things and do what fire pros do. So it's just been tremendous. The amount of feedback we get from the community on that is really great. But also, if you've noticed, some of our reduction in waste for forestry has actually gone down.
Yeah.
Because we were spending about $90,000 a year having that removed. So it's really been super helpful. And a lot of that from the Wood Depot ends up back in our parks as either benches or play features. There's one that's coming up in Miguel Luna Park that's going to be hopefully opening up in the next month or so that was from a tree that fell right on that came down with Providence construction. They were able to repurpose that into a play feature for kids.
That's wonderful. I'm really happy to hear that. Opportunities where neighbors can go and be able to access things that they would have to normally buy in general just to be maintained and have upkeep. I think when we offer these opportunities, I think it's really great. I mean, any opportunity that we have, any chance that we have to promote these things, I think that we should. So if anybody's listening, or the people that are listening can know that this is open on Saturdays from 8 to what time?
What's it?
What time is it open?
It's open from 8 to 4 on Saturdays, and there is a website, I don't remember it offhand, but if anybody would like a tour, I'm happy to arrange that. It's just, when they talk about, the other thing that they make there is biochar, which is something that is used in stormwater bioretention sites, and so it is, it's something that we don't have to purchase, that we have access to now, and just the messaging around it. We also have a lot of school groups that come out to learn about this circular waste system, and so that works out really nice.
Thank you very much.
And which,
Councilwoman Graves?
and which of these things is it? Because
I believe it's in, I think it's before and after pictures in the larger one. If not, it's in there somewhere. I don't remember the page.
could you text me that information, because I know a lot of people, we have the Rainbow Garden, and I'm sure that they'll be loving that. Thank you.
You all set? The only other question I really have is just to confirm, so the North Burial Ground fees, is that the only revenue that Parks receives?
There's also the reimbursement revenue for the position, but the bulk of the parks revenue generated in the parks are retained in special revenue funds for the purpose of supporting those park activities. So for example, the Botanical Center, any sort of admission fees collected by the Botanical Center are recorded in the special revenue fund for the Botanical Center to provide support for the operating costs of the.
Does that fund, so that Parks has one special revenue fund?
Multiples. I believe there's one for, Crystal, you know better than I do, but there's one for the 7 of them.
And is it just managed completely by the superintendent's office, or do you guys manage that as well?
We assist, we started a budget process with the Parks Department a couple of years ago where they prepare an annual budget to us. It's usually largely based on historical spend. And then when we have our monthly budget reviews, we're reviewing where that budget is compared to actuals.
Can you share those reviews at some point with this committee?
Certainly, yeah, definitely.
Thank you. That's it. Do you guys have any other questions?
No, thank you. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. One more.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, no,
Sorry,
no,
don't
this
get up
really
yet.
is
Don't get up
sorry.
yet. Councilwoman Grace has one
No.
last question.
The ribbon cutting for the splash pad, for Father Lenin's Park. What are they?
Yeah, when we were about 2 weeks out from what we call the punch list, which is the last thing, like make sure the bolt tech covers and things like that, and the water's working correctly, then what we do is we get some dates from Mayor Miley's office, and we then contact your office and we get some dates that you're available. We
Okay.
marry those dates. We work with the community, any of the community folks in this situation, Mike Holland and the rec center folks who are really big and involved in that process a lot. And then we create a date and we have a review for it. So it should be coming up soon. We have a lot of projects coming online this spring and summer, particularly water parks.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah. And you can sing that.
Okay.
We're expecting it. We're requesting it.
Okay, no problem.
When we do the ribbon cutting for George A. West, can we make sure that Councilwoman Graves also has an invite? So she
Oh, okay. I'll put it on my calendar.
Standing invitation
Okay.
to sing at any of the ribbon cutting.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't know about
Thank
this.
you, guys.
Ribbon flash here.
It's on the record.
It's on the record.
Why?
Thank you guys. Okay, you guys, you ready?
Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you.
Motion to enter this as Exhibit 16.
So moved.
Sorry. You gotta take back that.
Take it back, take it back.
Motion to enter Exhibit Item 15 to the record.
Okay, so moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Graves, seconded by Councilwoman Peterson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Can you give me a second, Chris? I just got way too many papers over
Yes.
here.
I'm ready when you are.
Alright, you guys ready? Everybody?
Wonderful. The line item details can be found on page 336, if you're looking in the book. And Dave, I am Director Sean Hawley, and Deputy Director David Onyemem. Did I say that right? Oh my goodness, I am very proud of myself. That was a tricky one. And we can get started walking through the
That's why I call directors by their first name.
It's nice and easy.
Excellent. Wonderful. So we'll go through both the recreation and recreation seasonal budgets. They're fairly straightforward and there's not a tremendous amount of change in the recreation seasonal budget. So if you have questions, please feel free to stop me as we go through the presentation. In the recreation budget as a whole, not recreation seasonal, the total fiscal year 2027 budget is proposed at $3,473,709. This is a $55,765 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $3,117,944. Total proposed recreation seasonal expenditures, so this is primarily summer camp for Providence youth, are budgeted at $2,022,716 and are unchanged from the fiscal year 2026 budget. Total proposed salaries for recreation are budgeted at $1,857,270. This is about a $37,000 decrease over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $1,819,360. There are no proposed changes to FTE funding in this fiscal year. The recreation budget has been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The first discretionary line item is program expense, which has been budgeted at $155,000. This provides all of the funding for seasonal programs, field trips, tournaments, and awards in our rec centers. We have a small increase to rubbish removal of $9,300, which is supported by historical trend and additional usage of our facilities. Medical and chemical lab supplies, stationery, miscellaneous expenses, and housekeeping supplies have all been level funded from fiscal year 2026. We have a modest increase in food of $5,000 to support additional cookouts, holiday events, and special events in our rec centers. And maintenance and service, which are not tied to individual contracts, are level funded at $75,000. And that wraps up really the entire operating budget. I'll go to the director to see if he has any comments he'd like to start with.
Certainly. I have a prepared statement, but I'll make it brief. Good evening, councilors. At the outset, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to appear before you on behalf of the Providence Recreation Department. As you're aware, I recently completed my 6th month in my position, and I am currently working with a budget that I have inherited. I have an amazing team that has helped guide me through executing and carrying out the charge of that budget. The team consists of my Deputy Director David, Director of Support Services Jackie, the main office, along with the Recreation Center directors and respective staff. As I enter my first budget cycle with the tremendous guidance of Deputy Finance Director Crystal Lindberg, I have before you a budget that is modest with no significant changes nor increases. This is with intentionality that I am positioned to move forward in such a manner that is seamless and offer the opportunity to experience operating recreation while analyzing what changes might be warranted in moving forward. The Department of Recreation is a critical, essential service that serves as the backbone of a thriving community by fostering physical health, mental well-being, and social equity. It strengthens the city by providing safe spaces for youth, connecting diverse populations, boosting the local economy, and increasing overall quality of life. With that, I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Director. Councilwoman Graves, for the record, reflect Council Pro Temp Chardo has joined us.
So noted.
Council Pro Temp Chardo. You guys know what I mean.
You said it.
I don't know. Councilwoman Graves.
I'm gonna have quite a few questions, so I will really break it up for everybody. Like you said, you only did half a year. And I think you've only been in here about a year.
Right.
So basically you're still newbies. So how has it been going so far, from your point of view, before I start killing you? How has it been going so far? What have you seen or experienced since you've been there?
Are you asking myself or sure?
I'm both of you.
Okay. How has it been going? It's been going great. Before I entered into this position, I really recognized the importance of the Recreation Department in terms of the fabric of moving forward a successful city. And having been in this position, I'm experiencing. My experience bolsters my feelings, my viewpoint, how important the city of Providence Recreation Department is in terms of the importance of the role it plays for the city as a whole. It also has been going well of working with various departments. Various departments have been very supportive. We've worked cohesively in terms of getting a number of different projects done, including facilities improvements. So it's been a great experience.
Yeah, and I can definitely echo a lot of those points. I think Sean, coming onto this department in fall, I believe is when you started, right? Has been a really good transition as well in regards to just how our department has accepted that transition, and then also just echoing some more of those points. Our support that we've received from our community members, council, internal departments, like it's been really, really great being able to have a team that is obviously exceeds recreation that helps us to understand exactly how we need to operate and how we need to work together to provide the best service. So again, I think it's been a really good opportunity, and it's been a really, really great to work with everybody that's here, and obviously our staff internally as well.
Okay, now for the hard questions. How many of the recreations will be closed over the summer?
How many will be closed over the summer? That would be, well, Davy Lopes is projected to be open at the end of June.
Okay,
So that would be open.
that's a good thing.
That would leave Jocelyn as the only center that is projected to be closed during the summertime.
Okay, Fox Point will be open.
Fox Point.
Sorry,
Is Fox Point open?
Fox Point?
Vincent Brown?
No, Vincent
Yeah.
Brown's open.
Yeah,
Vincent Brown.
Okay,
Yes,
I heard that it
right.
wasn't, that's why, or wasn't going to be, that's why I'm asking.
Right. No, you said Fox Point at 3 million.
Well, it's always gonna be Fox Point to me.
I thought you were thinking of the boys club.
That's what I'm asking.
I thought you were thinking of the boys club. But
No.
Vincent Brown is open.
It's always gonna be active.
Yeah,
Okay,
Vincent Brown
I just wanna
continues
know,
to
so
be-
it's just gonna be that one,
Right.
okay? What's happening with those kids over there? What are you gonna do with that group of children?
Where, Jocelyn?
In Johnson?
Well, Jocelyn, we have a plan in place where, and it's already been put in place, where the youth that were projected to go to camp at Jocelyn are going to be dispersed around to other recreation centers throughout the city. So
Okay, so,
we are still looking after the kids over there at Jocelyn.
okay, so has the numbers went down for the kids going into camp?
At Jocelyn, it has-
Citywide?
citywide, no.
No, I think
No, it's increased probably.
yes.
Okay. That's all I heard, but I'm just wondering, okay. I just
What
want
did
to
you
make,
hear?
that the numbers have went down in some places, so I just want to make sure that the numbers are where they're supposed to be,
No.
and we have places where they can go.
No, when I came on board, I was made aware of, I think some of the numbers may have gone down. I think that was intentionally last summer. The numbers went down, but when I came on board, we already had a discussion about the need to increase the numbers for summer camps, and that's something that we take very serious.
Councilwoman Graves, can I ask a follow-up on that? Sure. Director, I'm not understanding, so last year, enrollment for summer camps was down a little bit?
From my awareness, yeah.
I guess you weren't, I guess that question for David.
That's correct, yes.
But this year, those numbers are higher?
Correct, the enrollments are higher than what we had
What
last year.
changed, I guess, or what did you guys do to get those numbers higher?
So from what I understand, we had an issue last year where we needed to kind of be a little bit more cautious with the amount of allotments we had for summer camp, just based on what we're going to be allotted for our seasonal budget. Because again, the setup of summer camp and the facilitation requires us to have a certain amount of staff.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we have that allocated within our line for that seasonal amount. But I think that was something that was being worked through simultaneously as we were beginning summer camp. So in an effort to kind of adhere to that, we had minimized the amount of, or shortened the amount of camp slot allotments for that year. But again, this year that has increased.
Very good.
Continue, I'm sorry.
In fact, I think you're up to, what, 665 for enrollment for the camps.
Right now, that's what it is for this year?
For summer camps, yes, and then 588 for sports camps.
Wonderful. Okay, and that, the sports camp was the next one I was gonna get to. So were you able to procure the space that we were talking about earlier for the sports camp? I know they're gonna be closing out soon.
For PCTA,
Yeah.
is that what you did? We still hope to have PCTA, but as of now, that's not guaranteed just yet.
Okay, so if you don't,
It certainly would be our preference to have PCTA, but that's out of our control as to whether we actually get PCTA.
so if you don't get them, instead of 150, you're gonna go down there to Hope, which is probably be about 50 kids?
I forget what the breakdown is for how much that would have to decrease, but we would have to certainly pivot.
Okay.
Can I just ask a follow-up to that? So just to confirm, the use of PCTA is essential for us to be able to have that number of enrollment, so it would drop if we don't get it. I just want to make sure that we put that on record, because it's really important for
Yes.
neighbors, it's really important for parents in the summertime, and the fact that we can't utilize it does make it more difficult for the families in our cities, in our neighborhoods. So I do want to make that, you said.
Well, I greatly appreciate you pointing out that,
Yes.
since that is significant. Our athletic coordinator, Shannon Perry, does a hell of a job with that sports camp. It's something that a lot of families look forward to, a lot of the youth look forward to, year in and year out. So I appreciate you pointing out that point.
Can I get a follow-up on that? Oh, do you mind? Why is it?
Follow up to the follow-up.
Yeah, follow-up to the follow-up. Why might we not have access to PCTA? What's the holdup, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I really want to speak for them, but I mean, they have construction or something, plans to work, but I don't think that's appropriate for me
Oh, okay,
to
that'd be
speak
a
on
question
their
for
behalf.
PCTA. Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll follow up with PPSD on that
Yeah,
one.
great.
Yes, and staying on the same subject, I think it's very important that we make sure that they try to have that at least every year. And the reason being, we all know that Hope has no air in there. And they did it last year, and the kids were almost passing out of the small amount that they had. And it's a citywide thing. It's not a side of town thing. So we're talking about kids from all over the city. So it's not an east side thing, a south side thing. We got to make sure that we get our kids in there. And for us to be just selecting a few is really bad, because now it's like a lottery again. Our kids, we got to stop doing it to our kids.
Well, I mean, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
Because
but again, we need to make sure we put
Right.
this on the record.
Right. But
Because,
it personally hurts me because I know the tremendous job that Shannon Perry does to run that camp.
yes,
And a great job in all the effort she puts into it. It makes a difference for me.
so I think we need to start working on it sooner instead of later. So if we can't get it this year, let's make sure that we get it for next year, or a suitable place that we can have the air for these children. I was concerned when I was hearing that the place recs were going to be closed and this, that, and the other, because we don't want these kids running around with nothing to do, because we all know what happens when kids are left with time on their hands. They tend to get into mischief. I don't care how good they are. You know, we all know our sweet little innocent children can find some things to do that they have no business doing. So I'm glad to hear that that's going, that this is going to go on, and I hope that we get all of them in there, that we have a place for each and every last one of them to go. So I'm happy to hear that. The other thing I want,
When does, thank you, Councilwoman, when is that camp supposed to begin?
June 29th.
Yeah, I would say we, as city councilors, should try our best to use our collective efforts to make sure that PCT is an option for this year.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Peterson.
I agree, thank you very much. First off, I want to give you some feedback on the directors that represent Kennedy that are now currently at East Hopkins. Both Allegra and Derek are phenomenal with our families, and the adjustment and the transition from Kennedy over to ESIC with the change of space and limited space and resources that we have. They've been able to really make it home for students and kids in the after school program. I love their attention to detail for all of our families in my neighborhood, and I very much value that. So if they're not watching, please make sure that you give them that, because I think I'm a person that gives credit where credit is due, and it's really important to highlight. I believe, and I think I referenced this last time, I believe that our rec directors and our assistant directors are probably some of the most important positions that we have in the city. They are the people that meet our families exactly where they're at and are able to understand our families in ways that we can't. And if there's something going on with our families, they're kind of a first line of defense for so many, in so many instances. And I really value that as a person who, that was weird. As a person who grew up going to rec and as a younger person, these programs and this division of what a city does matters. It matters to the families, it matters to the students, it matters to the people that work there. I really wish that there was a better compensation structure for our directors and our assistant directors. I'm going to say that again. I said it last time, and I'm going to say it again and again and again. To me, these are some of the most valuable assets that we have, and I want to make sure that I'm consistently saying that. Last year, we had some discussion, and I think if I remember correctly, some of that discussion was presented here, where the recs were, they were expected to generate some revenue. And I took issue with that, because to me, that's an extra layer of a position. Some of us do that as a profession, and I think it's really important to be able to provide professional development on that. And so what I would like to know is, how have we pivoted from that? Are the recs actually still doing that? And if they're doing that, how is that being administered? Because I'd love to be able to understand if it's something that has been continued, or we found a different way of doing that.
That's something I've put a pause on.
Okay.
We have that move forward. To your point, I don't think it's something that we're built for. I think fundraising or that sort of thing takes a particular skill set. I'm not saying that our directors, assistant directors, or staff is not qualified to get that, but they have a lot on their plate as it is to manage their various facilities. So that's something I put a pause on for now until I do more due diligence myself and understand that more. Certainly we're in favor of fundraising and raising more when appropriate, but I do not want to take away from the focus on programming, the focus on engagement with our youth, the focus on engagement with our families, the focus on engagement with our constituents around the various rec centers that we have.
I appreciate you saying that. And
I do want to piggyback on your comment about Allegra and Derek. Definitely very phenomenal, very attentive, and definitely blessed to have them.
There are people that, and I'm sure all rec directors and assistant directors are like that, but I speak to the ones that I know. And they very much think outside the box. And for me, and for parents too, it's part of what, in the feedback that I get from neighbors, especially as we've transitioned into East Hopkins while Kennedy is under construction, the main part is to make sure that the kids feel safe and paid attention to and have a space where they can actually come and be supported in a variety of ways, and they make do with what they've got. ESIC is a little bit of a different, it's a little bit nuanced in the way that it's set up, but
And we're in the business of management, I mean, to cut you off, we're in the business of management. People may look at recreation and think it's all about rolling out a basketball, rolling out a ball and playing it and having at it. But we need to pivot, and they're a perfect example of being able to pivot and address some of the difficulties that they've had to face with being transported from Kennedy to where they are at ESIC Hopkins, and they've done a great job.
Yeah. And just the last thing for me, for now, is in my prior employment, my full-time employment, I was able to work with high school students. And some of those high school students came in and did the youth summer program in recs, in parks and recs, parks as well as recs. And just some additional feedback on that is I think that it's really great that we take Providence youth and give them an opportunity to make some money. Again, these are really great chances that kids get to stay out of mischief, as Councilwoman Green said. But these are the steps forward, right? Like, how do we develop our youth and have a hand in it as a city? These are the steps, and I think that that should also be recognized. I've heard nothing but positive things from the kids as well, and so I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Graves?
Now, on the piggyback. Because one of the recs is closed, are we still gonna hire the same amount of kids to work this year? Because a lot of kids look forward to getting out of school so they can get their first summer jobs, and then usually their first summer jobs, the majority of them get hired through the rec department, you know. So, where are we gonna place them? Are we gonna be able to hire them? If we're gonna have the same amount of kids?
Well, we expect to have a very robust application process for summer camps. I don't envision that it's going to table off much, if at all. But we expect to have a very aggressive enrollment process for people applying for jobs for the summer.
Okay. And something totally on another side, are all the pools and water parks going to be open this year?
I didn't hear that.
All the pools and the waters and splash pads and all of them, are they all going to be open this summer?
They're all projected to be open. Once again, Davy Lopes Pool also is projected to be open.
Good.
As well as Davy Lopes facility. Right now, Davy Lopes is operating out of Elwood Community Center. I'm looking forward to Elwood Community Center having its own vibrant life with Davy Lopes moving back to Davy Lopes Recreation Center.
Wonderful, because you want Davy Lopes open, otherwise you'll have a war on your hand. The other thing is, there's been something you're talking about people hiring relatives who work directly under them. Is that going on? And if so,
Is people what?
hiring people to work directly under them, you know?
Are they hiring relatives?
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with hiring relatives, but they shouldn't be working directly under you.
Well, I have not made a hire since I've been here, so are they relatives working directly? I'm sure they are.
Okay, just so long as you don't have your cousin Leroy working for you. That's all.
We live in Providence where a lot of people are. So, I have not made a hire of any relatives.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not going down a slippery slope, because we don't want people to stop pointing. But out of all those kids that come, we want everybody to be able to get a job. So if we do hire them, you got a lot of places that we can put them. that, so that we don't fall under that, and there won't be any complaints.
We want people to be hired based off of capabilities.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're kids. So they don't have a lot of capabilities, but they will after they get under you. That's the
No, I think you asked my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're amazing.
I have a quick question. When's the estimated opening day of the pools and splash pads? Does one come before the other?
No, 29th,
Of June?
June 29th.
Councilwoman Peterson?
This is more of a comment slash ask. We talk about our youth often, but I was hoping that we could find a way to facilitate some time for our seniors at the pools. We have a lot of senior communities in the city, and I think it would be really helpful to, if there's a possibility of doing so, opening early hours to be able to facilitate some of them as well. I think a little bit like that goes a long way, and I champion something like that if we were able to do it.
Right. Well, that's definitely a focus. Senior programming in general is something that we are looking forward to increasing for the recreation department. We already had a great event over at Elwood Community Center with the Healthy Aging Program. They went well, and we're looking forward to doing more of that. But back to the point about senior swim, we definitely will be doing that. Zucolo does that. Rogers will be doing that, but that is something that we want to incorporate with all of our recreation center pools, to set aside time for seniors to have time to swim in the pool.
Please let me know, because I'm happy to engage the seniors in my community to let them know that that's available. Oftentimes we lose sight that they're also a part of our demographic that we need to take care of, and nothing would make me happier than being able to facilitate small things to be able to assist.
And I think we lose sight too on the importance of the need for the interaction between the seniors and some of our youth too as well.
Yeah.
It's important conversations being missed without having that engagement, so that's something we look forward to doing.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment. My grandma lives in a different community, and she's retired, and she goes to a pool year round, a couple times a week, and that's literally, outside of seeing her grandsons, of course, best part of her life right now. Anything that we can do to support those efforts, especially if there's some funding needed, please let us know in the very near future. Councilman?
Yeah, just a pilot, thank you, and that was adorable. And to pile on to Councilwoman Peterson, even if the recs in our neighborhoods don't have pools, if we could find out about the opportunities for seniors, so we can let the seniors in our neighborhoods know, because I hear a lot from folks in Ward 3 that the splash pad at Billy Taylor is awesome for kids, but there's no place to cool down for seniors. And so if they knew, I mean, you could go hang out at the misting station at Lippert Park, but which is awesome, and everyone should come hang out at the misting station at Lippert Park, but nobody really hangs out there. You just kind of walk through on your way somewhere and cool off a little bit. But if there were a way to swim and see other seniors, that would be great. I think they'd be able to get there if they needed to.
And also utilize the senior services that we have already available with the city through our elderly affairs
And then
department.
seniors across the city can know each other and have a community than just the ones in their neighborhood. That would be great.
Well, if any of you have a group of seniors that that have expressed an interest in doing it, please reach out and we'll make sure they're accommodated.
Cool, thank you.
I'm trying to think.
Councilman Green?
Yes. How are you doing with meeting with your directors? Are you guys meeting on a regular basis together? Because I really think that helps a lot, because I think you all have great ideas. And we don't know, just like the size of the city, each rec has its own different flavor,
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can learn from one another and pick up all these different things. So.
One of my important visions for me in sitting in my seat is to re-engage with the directors, to raise them up, to empower them, to make sure their voices are heard. Because to your point, each center itself has a different life, has a different culture. So it's important for me to be deep into each community to hear what they have to express. So yes, it's constant engagement as we're sitting here waiting to come up to the table. We're texting the group text to a director that had some things going on, and so we're in constant contact.
We'll go to Councilman Pichardo, and then we'll circle back with committee members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director, for being here. Sean Hawley, and also Deputy Director David Ayome. The past 6 months have been a real engagement process for us with your leadership in the forefront. I know I can speak directly for my ward, which has the Yellow Community Center and the Rec Center. I've had the opportunity to work with the director and even David and trying to address certain issues as I've constantly visit the rec centers and the Emerald Community Centers that comes online. But I've also had the opportunity to visit the 11 other rec centers prior to all these years, and I continuously go there. I appreciate your communication and also keeping me abreast of what's happening in, at least in my ward. I know one of the things are placing. One of the things that I observed, and I brought it to your attention, was that I think that as an entire department needed some training, in terms of dealing with the population that they're serving, and that is the young people, because one of the things that I've noticed is that we hire summer seasonal workers, but also perhaps even the staff need to have more refresher, and I brought that to you. And I bring that to you is because one of the things that as I did my out and about, was that some parents have reached out to me from different communities that there were inappropriate people around these rec centers. I think that I've asked to come up through your team with a plan, and I hope my question, a plan to address the sort of awareness of dealing with, 1, the children, 2, the parents, and then 3, around personnel and who is actually come around the children. So I'm looking for a plan, at least commitment for us to address those things. And I would love to hear from you, is that in the works, and what are the plans in terms of training for these type of refresher as a new leader in the department and going into 6 months and by this time assessing the department and what are the needs of the entire department of 11 rec centers and I believe 41 employees, and serving, from what I understand, a waiting list of kids that are waiting for other jobs and opportunities. So the question is, in terms of addressing those issues, do we have a plan? Are you working on it? Can you just elaborate on those?
First of all, I would like to thank you for your engagement with me personally. Shirley's been a great teammate to work with. I appreciate your attentiveness and how important your ward is to you, and work with the centers that are in your ward. And yes, we have talked about the safety concerns, and we're looking at safety concerns on a number of different levels. Certainly with the issue that you raise is something we don't take lightly at all. And in particular going into the summer, we will have some different trainings for our staff. Last week we just had an active shooter training. But there's a number of different trainings that we look forward to having with our staff in terms of preparing them as we get into the busy summer season. So I will circle back to you with a definitive plan on that, but that is something that we talk about frequently, the need to make sure that our youth are safe and to protect them from those that are around them, and to make our staff vigilant in terms of identifying these potential risks that our youth may be in.
Yeah.
So it is something extremely important.
And I asked through the chair that that plan be submitted. What are the action steps? The summer is just a month away. That at least that we're going to follow through, and that we have something in place in terms of that plan, retraining, and also bringing the personnel aware of all these policies that are affecting, which should be mirror also like the Providence school systems or the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to make sure that that's through the chair that we can get a plan from you as a
we can definitely submit that to you, and I also ask of you to be supportive and to be engaged with that plan too as well, and help to deliver that message to the constituents that are attending the camps too as well. But
absolutely,
we definitely will circle back to you.
Yeah.
What's your timeline you think on that, Director? I know.
With the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, Councilman Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The other was in reference to two things. One, the Elmo Community Center had a director there and left, has been out of the position for almost a year prior to you coming in, probably 8 months or 9 months. Was there any savings based on that position because it wasn't filled? And what is that reflected in as a savings through the department?
So the city budgets what's known as attrition annually as part of its salary budget. So we assume that a certain number of salaries will not be filled 100% of the time throughout the fiscal year. So any savings from positions that are vacated are really tied to that attrition savings. It's not funding the department has the ability to re-spend.
To explain it,
Yep.
for Lane, attrition,
Attrition,
so it goes back to the budget
basically
itself
goes
for
back
the
to the bottom
administration?
line, yes.
Bottom line?
Bottom line, at the end of the fiscal year, any, excess revenues over expenditure, so excess, income over what we've expended goes into what's known as fund balance, so that's where our reserves are available. What we do and what we will budget annually is when we budget for positions, right, we assume that 100% of the positions we will be budgeting will be filled all year round, which is often not the case. In fiscal year 2026, we have budgeted, I believe it was $3.5 million for attrition. And then in fiscal year 2027, we have budgeted $4 million for attrition. However, that's offset with a $500,000 allocation for non-union performance-based increases. We had historically budgeted what were known as step increases or performance-based increases for non-union staff at the position level. However, we're taking that down and making it part of the attrition line to make it more fair and equitable to departments in the city. There was a few instances where, and quite frankly, departments are submitting their budgets to the budget office the first week in February. You may not know who will be eligible for a performance-based step increase at that point in time. And so there were many instances where people would have either been budgeted for an increase that they maybe didn't actually earn when it came time for their performance evaluation, or vice versa. We had only budgeted maybe one step increase, but their performance demonstrated they should be going up by more than one step. So to try to, equitably distribute this, and it'll be, quite frankly, a little bit of work for me throughout the year to make sure we're managing and maintaining this. We have put one pool of funding for all non-union step increases in the non-departmental budget to, again, just try to be a little bit more fair and equitable throughout the year. That was not the case for fiscal year 26. We did budget step increases at the position level, so the budget for attrition was just the $3.5 million. We are on track to meet that budget number, so we're doing well this fiscal year, but again, we do not typically, unless there's some sort of direct outside expense, for example, in forestry sometimes, we may enable additional spending on private contractors for forestry services because we don't have forestry personnel in hand to physically do the work. But in general, if there's a vacant position mid-year that is not funding, the department is able to repurpose for anything else.
And just to confirm, sorry, Councilman, some great questions. So going forward in this proposal, that attrition total sits in finance?
It sits in what's known as the non-departmental budget, so that is where all the tax revenue is recorded. Most of our state revenues are recorded. Any sort of expenditure that is not tied to one specific department is budgeted in what's known as the non-departmental budget.
But you guys manage that?
We manage it, correct.
So just for an example, say a position in finance, someone's in it right now, is in it for a couple months, that person leaves, the department doesn't want to rehire, doesn't see the need to rehire, that funding goes to attrition, and then you guys could decide, oh, we got the schools back, this new procurement person, we need an additional person, and you guys solely decide, obviously with the mayor's administration, to fund that position using the attrition funds.
Assuming that the ordinance allows for the
Right.
position to exist. At no point can we fund a position that is not included in the ordinance.
So just a quick follow-up on that, and this is going back a couple meetings. That OSHA position in HR,
Correct.
that was in the ordinance?
That was in the ordinance,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman, Councilman Char, are you,
I still got a few.
is your question a follow-up on his question, or?
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to know,
Who is it?
do you have your budgetary needs already addressed? Do you know what you need to fund your department for this year and going on to next year?
We're comfortable with the budget that's been proposed.
But are you the one coming up with because I see that you have requested a new position for specialist, what is it? Recreation specialist and stuff like that.
The recreation.
Oh, yes. The recreation specialist is currently a position that is hired by, it is a current employee.
It's already a current employee.
Yes, it's already a current employee.
Okay.
It's not a new position.
It's not a new position, okay.
No, it is a new, I will say it is a new full-time position. The person is in that position in a part-time capacity, so we are requesting that we move them into a full-time position, but they're not earning additional salary. My understanding is the person who's, the incumbent is in a seasonal type position, and so we annualized that salary and moved it into a full-time position.
Okay, and they're coming under you guys? Or is it, okay,
It's currently someone who's employed by the Recreation Department,
okay,
earning approximately that salary.
okay. So but you guys have a clear idea of what you need for your budget?
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure.
I appreciate you checking.
I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, it's not early tonight. I'm gonna celebrate the very important holiday later, but I can go late into the night, so.
Likewise.
We'll take our time here. Councilor Chardo?
Yeah, along those lines and sticking with the Elmo Community Center, but I also want to ask in reference to piggyback to the recreation specialist. Is it necessary for for that position? In terms of a recreation specialist, seeing that each rec department has a director, an assistant, and then you have other employees. So what?
So I
Why is
think
that?
that's Jonathan Bastion's position. Could you elaborate on how he supports the
Buchanan?
rec? Yes, I'm sorry, not Bastion, yeah, Buchanan, I'm sorry, it was two Jonathans in one department. Yes.
He bolsters our needs at the main office with programming, data analytics. So there's a number of different aspects that we fill some significant gaps after the main office.
You support what?
Supports the main office.
It's already there.
We're programming, data analysts, what other things?
Yeah, I mean, that's, just for coordination, things that we have to lead from a department perspective, supporting what we'll need from a data management perspective. A lot of what we've done over the past few years is trying to make sure we're collecting data and making decisions based on that data requires somebody to be kind of focused on that piece.
All right, so it's more specific on analyzing data and so forth versus sort of on-the-ground recreation with the kids. That's why I wanted to go in there. In reference to the Everwood Community Center, when is the position going to be filled?
The position is currently in the process of being posted, and that's listed as one of the center directors, FTEs that you see there. So that position will be posted very soon because it's in the process of being, going through the pipeline to be posted.
Is there a goal of by when? Or is pending a budget approval? Meaning getting into, is there a specific month or date?
I'm not aware of any budgetary constraints prohibiting that position from being posted right now.
Is there a date by when? Do we have that?
I'm not sure what the
By when to hire the person?
post
Correct.
the position.
Post and then hire.
Yeah.
It's submitted to be posted, so it's going through the pipeline to be posted. Then we will start to, once it's officially posted, we can start to interview individuals for that position. And we'll make the best decision possible for that hire.
So, any particular time frame? A
The
month?
sooner the better,
2
but we
months?
certainly not
No,
going to
I get that, but
hire a person, so it would like to coincide with Davy Lopes, segueing back to Davy Lopes and Elwood having its full regime there.
so no particular date right now or month. And that's what I'm hearing, so I just want to be clear on that. Knowing how the centers take their completion dates move from 1 month to the other. I mean, the Everwood Community Center has been moving we finally cut the ribbon after so many years, obviously, because that center had many problems, but that's why, at least to have some predictability within the ward, in the center, to know when a director is going to
I would like to hire the person by mid-June, however, that depends on the candidates that we have.
Good, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And then the last thing, 2 things. The other was, I noticed that one of the positions that the media specialist, special projects manager, goes from pretty much getting a raise of about, or am I reading this wrong, a raise of almost $10,000, from 66 to 74, 75,000. Can you speak on that? Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, I see that. I don't have last year's personnel supplement in front of me, but I'm not aware of any changes to the compensation for that position. I think what likely happened, you're saying it's a $10,000 increase?
It seems like it. I'm just roughly guessing on that.
Yeah, I think
66 and 74,000, so under $10,000.
That is a graded position, and so what most likely happened is that I actually believe that position was vacant when we proposed the budget last fiscal year, if I'm remembering correctly. When we proposed the budget, if the position is vacant, I budgeted the lowest step of the lowest grade, assuming, that's where we'll hire someone in, and then the additional funds will need to come out of attrition, because usually, again, we're not filling things immediately on 7/1. I can pull the data, but what most likely happened is we hired somebody at higher than the lowest step of the lowest range, and so their increase looks larger because it's not truly tied to the individual in that role, it's just tied to how we budgeted the position based on the current vacancy at last year's budget submission.
And that position is filled already, or is that something that is coming in?
Yes, according to the org chart spoke by Lucy Rubis. And she's currently earning $70,000. So that, to me, again, 74 seems reasonable for a step increase in a applicable or a COLA.
All right. Mr. Chairman, one more. It's come to our attention that a director had to resign. You said earlier that the question whether people are working that are family members and so forth, and said maybe there's some. Is that something that the director should be looking at to ensure that conflict of interest or it doesn't violate the policy from the city ethics perspective? That at least that people are adhering to not having family members supervise each other or work under each other? Is that something that should be looked at? And can you speak on recreation director that was terminated? Was there terminated?
I would just direct the director not to discuss the specifics or name the individual because it's not noticed and we're in open session.
Thank you, City Solicitor. You can answer broadly, Director.
I'm not aware of any director being
Terminated?
terminated. Are you?
No?
I would like to know though, because now it seems like there's a...
And that's why we're here.
Well,
I mean, just to clarify whether if that's happened and so forth. So, and then and also just in terms of, again, going back to the trainings of personnel, is to go back and really emphasize the personal training in departments and recreation center and so forth. Seeing that the director just came in 6 months, I want to make sure that at least there's a refresher, and I've encouraged that because it is a concerning forecast that if we don't try to address it in different neighborhoods to make sure that personnel know how to deal with the students and also parents and so forth. So I think it's important that there's a plan to address these issues.
Fair enough.
I have a quick question. Is there any department-specific policy that speaks to relatives working in the same rec center?
There is a policy in human resources that specifically addresses that type of situation where...
That's citywide though, right?
It's citywide and it was just reissued, I don't know, in the past month or so, all of the policies. So it's in there, I just don't know the specific.
I guess my question is seasonal hires. Is that all the seasonal hires go through main office or do those go through the individual rec centers?
Those all go through the main office.
You have, okay, we have Councilwoman Peterson, Councilwoman Graves, and then Councilwoman LeBlanc. And then myself.
Different topic, or similar to different topic. I was just taking a look at the salary grades for our directors and assistant directors, and I noticed that some of them dependent, and I did both the assistant director and the director. There are some people that are below the actual grades that are specified in our ordinance book, and so I just wanted to double check how do we get them to, at the very least, the minimal step grade, but also, how does that happen, and, yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look. So the salaries that you're seeing on the org chart are what these individuals are earning currently. The compensation and classification ordinance will include COLAs, so that's already going to be a differentiator right off the get-go. But to the best of my knowledge, anytime I find someone who is not being paid in accordance with the ordinances, we submit a request to the appropriate department to request to change that employee status.
Thank you.
So if you'd like, I can take a look at all of our, and just ensure everyone's in compliance if you'd like.
Yeah, what I essentially want to do is just make sure that these particular positions are a reflection from last year and this year. Last year's budget to this year's budget reflects some sort of a increase, obviously, but also if there is any discrepancy. I just happened to notice it as I was looking at it because I made the proclamation about how much I think that they should be paid more. So that's what it
And
is.
I'm remembering that these are all in ranges, is that?
Correct.
Most of them are
Yeah,
ranges,
everything
right?
is,
Yeah.
assistant director is A6 through A8.
Yep.
And director is A10 through A13.
Perfect, so I'll take a look, I have a hunch what's happening here is a combination of just like COLAs and the way the
Okay.
math shook out. But I'll take a look and
Thank
just
you.
double check and make sure that everyone's being paid in accordance with the ordinance
appreciate
and
it.
let the director know of any changes that need to happen.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Graves?
Now, I think, well, for the assistants, last year, there was a really big discrepancy, and now they're really close to where they should be.
Okay.
So they have brought them up. I have noticed the difference in this. And I believe it's true with the directors. I think there might be, I mean, when you look at Jackie, I think it's the seniority.
Of course, yeah.
That brings them up. But I think that because we talked about this last year, and it looks like it has been corrected somewhat to me.
Jackie also holds that position of support.
Say that one more time.
Jackie holds the position of support services.
Yes, so I think it has been somewhat corrected. You can always still check just to make sure, but I think you guys did do correct that. I think what we're bringing up is we're all getting all kinds of rumors and phone calls and innuendos, and so we want to make sure that we bring it to the fore. This is the place where we ask the questions and we find the answers, you know. And I want to make sure that everything is fair, it's all clear, it's all, this is your chance to tell us what needs to be said, and this is our chance to ask the question to the people that are out there. Because sometimes, let's be truthful, people hear things and they run and say blah, 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 and some people feel they know things and it may or may not be true, you know. So I want to hear both sides and give everybody a chance to hear these things, you know. And if I find out either way, well, I'll go back to the other one and say, hey, that's not true. Or I'll go, like I just said right now. Or I'll say, well, I found out that what you told me wasn't quite what it's supposed to be, you know. And I'll let either side know, you know, that's just me. So I just wanted to let you know that we're not attacking anybody. We just want to make sure that you're aware of some of the things that are being said, and we're just putting it out there, and we want the people out there to know that we are doing our due diligence by bringing it up, you know.
I totally respect that.
You know.
Certainly.
And
I mean, for the things that I've heard tonight, they're certainly leaving me with a lot of questions.
yes, and I'm gonna be true with you. I love the Rex, and I told you last year there are things that I will fight tooth and nail for, and one of them is the Rex, because I love our kids. We got to make sure that our kids are safe. We got to make sure that our kids have a chance to be children, to enjoy their lives,
Right.
you know, and I will fight for them, for the schools, I will fight for the Recs, and I will definitely fight for the libraries and in the homes. We want them to have all those safety nets. So if I come down harder on any of those things, it's because of that, because they have to have a place to go and feel safe. You know, these streets are mean. This life is hard. And we got to make sure that they have a chance to be children. And we all know that, unfortunately, some of the places that they don't even get a chance to eat in some places besides the recs in the schools.
Right.
You know, they in some places that, you know, the recs in the schools on time to get a chance to feel safe. And sometimes they don't even get a chance to feel that in home. So we gotta make sure that we do the best that we can, where we can. So I appreciate the recs. Make sure you keep on bringing the programs, and my rec is the best rec, and the rest of y'all, are doing okay. That's all I can say.
You know that
I was going great, it was a funny
You know that I valued your opinion for many years, back to the days of when you were at the library, and that was at Rogers. So I don't consider you coming down hard. I consider you coming down with passion and care.
Thank you, I agree with that.
Well said.
Thank you. Councilman Engel?
Awesome. I have one question, which is total change, though. I think Councilwoman Grace can come down hard if she needs to, so.
Yes.
I know that too.
But the question I have is totally different than the ones we were just talking about, so switch topic is, my first 2 years on council, I worked pretty closely with Herlin to make sure we were putting in place, because Herlin had been the head of the Vincent Brown Rec, to make sure that the HVAC was functioning, and I know that's in process, also thanks to Kyle. Kyle left. I know Kyle's been working with you guys on that as well. But can you talk to the functionality of the HVAC systems at all of the recs? Because I know, to Councilwoman Gray's point from like an hour ago, those recs get so hot this summer, and it's a dangerous condition for any of them that don't have recs. I mean HVAC, and I know that's something you've been working on. Anyway, long story short, we'd love to hear the status of where the recs are with HVAC and all three facilities. Great.
Well, in particular, I point to the ones that have gone through the CPF grant process, which are Elmwood, David Lopes, and Jocelyn. David Lopes and Elmwood, the HVAC is in place, and David Lopes will be open in late June. Jocelyn is scheduled for completion in October, so it's a ways away with that. You got an update on the HVAC?
So we're expecting to see upgrades with HVAC systems at Vincent Brown, Igliozzi as well, Zuccolo, West End, and John Rollins, if I didn't mention that one. Rollins. So those are all underway and are expected to be ready to go for the start of summer camp.
Oh, great. So those ones will be ready for the start of summer camp.
Fingers crossed, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the ones where it's not done by summer camp, do you have measures in place to make sure the kids, there's fans or the kids are safe? Because I remember going to Vincent Brown before there was HVAC in like July, and it was like, even not playing basketball, I was like getting a little lightheaded, and I'm not a delicate flower.
Vincent Brown's gone through some great improvements, and I welcome you to join me. I'll take you a tour over there, and definitely need it.
For real.
I mean, but there are some centers like Rogers. I look forward to having some dialogue down the road with that. We do have a meeting scheduled with public property to start that conversation. So there are some centers that need some love and care.
Yeah, but there's like measures in place to keep the kids safe for the summer if they're still playing there because it gets so hot.
Correct.
Yeah, thankfully for Rogers, I know we'll have that brand new water park. We have that pool that's right over there, and we do obviously keep an inventory of fans to disperse across locations as needed.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, I'm talking.
no. I am putting in the air conditioning for my rec. I go there and I refuse to be fanning myself. So I take care of mine. So we don't have to worry about it. It will be there this summer.
That's awesome. Just to quickly jump in on this topic, I know there is plans, for HVAC in certain recs, Jocelyn including one. What's the plan for the rest of the rec centers? Is that all through capital improvement or what?
Correct, yeah, so there's a considerable amount of investments being done in rec centers through what's known as the CPF grants, which is ARPA that's passed through the state to us.
Right.
All of that work needs to be completed. I believe the state wants us to have that mostly substantially complete by June, with most of the work again completing by October. I don't have my CIP book in front of me, but there's a current funding for recreation centers in the 2025 fund, and I believe there's additional funding proposed in the new fund. So I know public property is taking a deep dive and looking at these rec centers. It's been a priority, quite frankly, of the administration to do the same thing. Councilwoman, you mentioned libraries. That's a big part of the reason why there's funding in for libraries, is because they also act as warming and cooling centers, in inclement weather. So if you'd like, I can sit down with public property and have them, give like a kind of a comprehensive, maybe just quick overview of what's on their agenda for the recreation improvements. If that would be helpful.
Absolutely, thank you, Crystal. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Gibbs, are you all set?
I'm all set.
Pro Tem Pichardo?
Yes. Question in terms of how many kids I know in 2026 we serve X amount of kids that went through the summer programs. Do you have those numbers? And also, how many are we servicing this year? And how many are on the waiting list? And then the last one, through the budget, understanding that through attrition, is there additional money that can be allocated, or at least at work, or has it been requested to support more kids getting those summer's opportunities?
Yes.
Well, I can say from the budget perspective, the bulk of the salary expense for these summer camps is in the recreation seasonal budget. We know that the fiscal year 2026 summer season has wrapped up, and total expenditures were about $1.8 million, $1,787,975. They have a budget of $2 million, so from a financial perspective, it does look like there's capacity to expand beyond what was done last fiscal year. How many positions that is really tough for me to say, because the seasonal positions are budgeted very differently than the rest of the budget. So I'm going to defer to the department on what sort of capacity that would mean. But I can certainly say that, it does look like there is funding available for additional staff or programs if necessary, as compared to what was actually done in 2026.
And were you asking the number of kids that are in camp? Is that what you mean?
Last year, and also right now, what's projected?
That's certainly what it was last year, but as you mentioned earlier, 665 for the camp, 585 for the sports camp. Last year, the
I can get you that number for last year.
And then how many are on the waiting list?
I can get you that number as well.
Please.
We don't know right now how many kids are on wait lists.
On wait list, not the total number.
Please get that to us as soon as possible.
Yes. And then the last one is, in terms of the baseball fields, I know that there's always a challenge with the parks and also the recs, having the parks ready, or have that been already issued? Is that, can you expand on that? Is there challenges that need to be addressed to ensure that soccer gets played, baseball gets played, volleyball gets played? Who's responsible for assigning those parks, and who stays on top of that in terms of administration?
So you're speaking in terms of the permit process, how's that going? We've really taken a look at kind of revising the permit process, because it is, from what I've learned, what I've inherited has been kind of tricky in terms of it. Recreation has put in somewhat of a thankless job of issuing permits. We don't manage the fields per se, but we issue the permits for individuals to play athletic events on. When it's a special event, that's something that goes to Joe Wilson and his crew. But as far as issuing permits for athletic events, that's under our purview. But the process is going well. We're doing, there's baseball going on, there's soccer going on, softball, a number of different athletic events.
So just a follow-up on that.
Yes.
So seeing that through your analysis is that two departments that are involved, does it conclude that in essence that it belongs within your department, or should it be something to be considered to be under the parks, issuing these permits.
We're more than capable of handling the job of issuing permits. I think that's been a debate that's gone on for many years prior to me sitting in the seat. I don't know what the exact science is to whether it be better with one department or another, but we're fully capable of handling the permit issuing process.
Quick follow-up on that question. So the revenue of rec center rentals does not sit with the rec department?
It is with the rec department, but it's not part of the general fund. It's considered a special revenue fund for the recreation department, known as a recreation support fund. If you'd like, I can give you.
Yeah, Chris, so
balances in
can you get the balance of
Yeah.
every special support revenue fund?
Yes, for
that-
Parks and Rec specifically, or we also have them for grants, which are like really not tied to city operations as much as they're tied to like certain program revenues for grants.
I think Parks and Recs
Okay.
makes sense for now, just so we have an understanding of
Yeah, certainly.
what's in there.
Yep.
Any other questions, committee members? I have a couple to wrap this up if no one else has any. What's the timeline on the vacant assistant director position at West End?
Meeting with Lynn Johnson soon on that, and that will be posted. And
How long has it been vacated?
February.
February.
February is when that person resigned.
Okay, thank you. I'm not gonna say the sentiment I said earlier with Parks again, but I also share it with Rec in terms of program funding staying pretty much the same. When we level fund programs and services or anything, at the end of the day, it's really cutting because expenses go up, and if we're not increasing our contributions to those services or programming, then I don't think we're doing just by what our residents expect from us. So I know, this is the beginning of the budget proposal, and full transparency, I'm, trying to see where we can increase support or services to the youth of our city, and Parks and Recs is a very visible and common sense, I guess, place. So there definitely will be follow-up conversations at some point. So every position, how many youth jobs are we, how many people apply for youth jobs, I guess is what I'm looking for.
That typically varies on year to year, but we typically hire a range between 350 to 450 depending on the programming that we're anticipating for that season.
But like how many applications, what I'm trying to get to is how many youth in the city of Providence have applied to a job and are not, obviously, some might have disqualifying stuff on the resumes or whatever schedules. But I'm just trying to figure out what there's the need out there definitely is higher than what we're providing. So what's the percentage? How do we find that information out as a committee?
So a lot of that is hosted directly with either Human Resources or the department, specifically like summer camps, academy information. I know is something we were very interested in earlier in this budget season. I'm not sure if this is information they all have at the top of their head, but I'm assuming there's some sort of applicant tracking software. So if you'd like, I can, what I've been doing after these meetings are I assign projects to everyone based on your requests.
Thank you.
So that I can make sure we're following up with you in a timely manner. Some of the ones from tonight, I think will be hard to make that 48-hour mark on, but we'll do our best. So if you'd like, I can work with the department to have them go through their records, and maybe we can get a couple years of historical figures. I know the deputy director's been with the city for, this is his at least second cycle through this process, so we could maybe get last year's numbers to just give you kind of some history on how many people had applied in total, and then of that total, how many were hired. I know last year I had a data request for, I believe it was the number of Providence residents hired, so I can pull up that data from last year and share that with you to just refresh us of where we were at, because that would give you some actual information for fiscal year 2025, so then, again, we'd have a couple of years worth to look at that point.
Yeah, that would be really, really helpful, Crystal, because I know every year families in my neighborhood contact me, and I try to speak to the directors nearby to see if there's any availability, but it seems like there's always a need out there, and obviously if we can't fulfill that need in one budget cycle, but I think we have to, as a city, commit to increasing those opportunities on a year-by-year basis, and I just don't think we have these past few years. So that's something that I personally am super interested and invested in. So the last question I have is around program expense. Director, can you give us a quick, brief statement or overview of how much of that $155,000 is spent in, I think basketball and the new soccer program used, but is there any other program through rec department that uses program expenses?
Well, there's a number of different areas for programming expenses. Obviously, basketball is the bulk of what we probably spent a budget on programming-wise. Soccer is something that we're looking to increase, given the need to really put a focus on developing our youth, but also increasing the youth programming for girls too as well is something where we really need to drive our dollars towards as far as programming budget goes.
Just to kind of echo Sean's points as well, one of the things we introduced this year was a Learn to Swim PVD program, offering swimming lessons for all residents over at Battistini Pool, which is the indoor pool, which allows us to do that on a yearly basis, and it's not weather dependent. So that's another avenue that has been allocated for some of that programming.
What are we doing right now in specifics around programs for girls in the city?
Well, there's the sports programming, but there's other programs like arts programming that we have. We do a lot of work with also P3 and their programs. But there's a number of different areas of young girls programming.
We'll follow up, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that point, I said this last year, but I'm not sure. You were here last year.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. I know there have been at some of the RAGS girls programming that is very gendered different than the boys programming, and just my annual appeal that girls also like sports and weightlifting and all the things boys like, and boys also like arts and dance and things that are gendered girls. So just to make sure that, especially for the young kids, we're offering them both opportunities. Speaking as a girl who never wanted to dance or do makeup or arts, but had found later in life that, darn, I wish I was offered opportunities to weightlift because that is my real passion. So in physical activities. So just to put that out there, I don't want the kids to get too entered into totally gendered activities from a really young age. And I think some of our girls and some of our boys want to do the activities for the other that are gendered by society in certain ways.
Absolutely agree with that. And when I mentioned arts, I didn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't think you were saying that. There was a yellow thing one time for the girls, and I was like, oh my god.
Right. Boys are involved in it too as well.
Yeah.
However, it is something that the girls tend to gravitate towards more. So.
I only have one more question. Do any committee members, you guys are all set? Is any of the program expense line item used, well, I guess I just answered my own question for seasonal programs. I guess the question is any of the program expense used for any of the summer camps?
Yes, so in the operating budget, the recreation seasonal budget is really only covering temporary salaries, which would include any referees we need. That actually is year-round referees, not just summer referees. And then the applicable, payroll taxes we need to pay appropriately. But all of the service and supplies, the bulk of the funding available is either in here in the recreation budget, so that $155,000. And that's why if you look at the actuals for this year, we're only at 45. I think there's certainly seasonality in the spending of that program line, and now that we're getting into spring, we'll see an uptick in expenditures. But there is some funding that is used out of the recreation support fund because, again, the summer camp tuition is not a tremendous revenue generator, but some of that revenue does offset the program costs.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important that we have those, obviously we're not asking to have complete oversight over that fund. I think whoever is doing it, but if we're aware of, this money and it's being spent, because we look at the budget and my neighbors look at the budget and they're like, $155,000 is being spent on programs and that's it. So if we're aware at least and have a better understanding that there's this pool of money out there that's being used for our kids in our rec centers, it would equip us a little better in those conversations with our constituents.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I will say that is something that we have been working on. Again, we started with parks because they had 7 of them to kind of keep track of, but we really are trying to take a more active approach to monitoring and managing what happens with these side funds. They can grow pretty considerably year over year. And I think it's important for us to look at departments holistically. Again, to your point, Chair, there is another funding source that is supporting rec programs. It may not be appearing here, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think we should be telling the public about those resources so that they understand when decisions are made that perhaps it's not necessarily that we don't want to support recreation programs. There's another opportunity we have to support them via another revenue source.
Thank you. Director and Deputy Director, I appreciate the work that you and every single staff member of our rec department does. I've said it before, you guys are a lot more than just directors and rec directors. You guys are mentors, you guys are teachers, you guys are life coaches to a lot of the youth, therapists, Councilwoman Peterson said, guidance counselors. And unfortunately there is a trend in the youth of the city sometimes when it comes to participating in activities that aren't the best choices. So anything that we can do as public servants, for the city of Providence to support our youth by giving them resources and opportunities. You definitely have 15 allies on the council, so please always keep us in mind when doing this work. So I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you.
With that being said, I will entertain a motion to continue item 1 through 6.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. Motion made by Councilwoman Inawa, second by Councilwoman Graves. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. This time I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved by Councilwoman Peterson, second by Councilwoman Graves. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.